My name is Joelle MacPhee, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Ooka Island. I'm also from Prince Edward Island, so I love islands and the ocean and the beach and basically anything maritime. So when I was trying to think about what to talk about, I kept having all of these nautical themes pop up. Like how all ships rise with the tide, or smooth sea doesn't make a skilled sailor. And then I thought of man overboard or woman overboard, and that definitely seemed to be more fitting for me and my story. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Kay MacPhee. Kay is also a co-founder of Ooka Island, and she's really the brains behind our Learn to Read program. She has this stoic optimism and deep belief that if given the chance, every child can realize their potential in life if they can learn to read well. She is also my grandmother, and I've seen her my whole life help people learn to read. She launched her first company when I was growing up, and it was a product for adults and children that had severe reading problems. And that was really successful, and it had a great exit. But at the end of the day, she still felt like the problem hadn't been solved. 68% of fourth graders are still behind in reading in Canada, in the US. So with Ooka Island, we really wanted to create something that would get kids excited about reading early. She was also really excited to leverage technology for the first time. She wanted to make sure that every child had a personalized path toward reading success. And she wanted to create something that could scale in a big way. So we got to work. And in those beginning days, everything was awesome. We were building the product out of PEI. We launched our MVP on national TV in the heyday of Dragon's Den, and I moved to New York City for an accelerator. And everything seemed to be going really great until it wasn't. After 2 years, I was starting to feel really burnt out. And I thought, 2 years for nothing. And it was, whether you call it the valley of death or the trough of sorrow, but basically there were just fires popping up everywhere. And then I realized, 2 years is actually nothing. Kay has been trying to put out fires for 50, and she was still moving forward. So I realized that it was about myself, and I needed to figure out what was standing in my way and what I could change, and do it. And I had to figure it out fast. So this became my mantra: if there's no wind, row. And I started to apply this in fundraising. We were in the thick of it at the time, and after one too many tragic investor meetings, I started to end every meeting by asking, what could I have done differently that would make you invest today? And the answers weren't really surprising, but they were still pretty hard to hear. You're too green, you don't have any leadership experience, do you even want to be CEO? And the truth was I didn't. I loved that concept of being CEO, but I really didn't feel ready to take on that kind of responsibility half-heartedly. So I didn't really know what to do, but I kept rowing. And one thing that I just started doing was tapping into the networks of advisors I had made over across East Coast and Toronto and New York City, and really started going to them for advice. Instead of just saying, everything's fine, I'm great, I started to really ask for help. And one bright light in particular was Kelly Shaw. And I would go out to coffee with Kelly, and in a complete panic, and I would walk away feeling, have focus and a clear plan. And I just thought, she has the experience and the skills that we need so badly. And then she was, 25 years in corporate life, and I could tell she was kind of looking for a big change too. So I started dreaming about all the ways we could help each other. And I popped the question, and she said yes. And that's been 2 years as of last week that Kelly has been CEO of Ooka Island. And it's been an amazing ride. Since she came on board, we were able to raise the investment we needed. We went mobile with Ooka Island. We've been building out the teams in PEI and Toronto. We have an office here. And it's just been incredible. We've been scaling our user base just like Kay wanted. And it's been amazing because I've learned so much from her. And I know it's because of her mentorship that I'll become a great CEO like her someday. And there are a few things in particular that I've really learned from Kelly over the last couple of years so far. And the first is to never be afraid or too proud to ask a question, to celebrate diverse minds on your team who will challenge you, because ultimately that's what makes you better. And also, it's cute, she's right here, so I'm just staring at her beaming face. So anyways, the best part of all of this is that really I learned that I have to let myself not do this alone anymore, and neither should any of you. If you ever get that sinking feeling that I had, just really tap into your networks and check in with yourself, find someone to trust, and ask for help. Because at the end of the day, I really believe that we all need a Kay to keep us grounded and a Kelly to keep us going. So thank you. Questions? I can't see. Yep.
Not really a question, just a comment, but that's a great story, and I really was inspired listening to it.
Thank you.
No, I just wanted.
Hi there. I have a question here. Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. Really nice story. Thanks for sharing that. I'm interested to know, apart from Ken Kelly, what else about the idea or the product was inspiring you at that moment to want to carry on working on it?
For my whole, childhood and growing up, it was always identifying the problem when it was too late. So she had a really effective product that could help if you had a problem. But I also knew that that meant that person had struggled and was in a lot of pain for a big part of their life. So the idea that we could go to the root of the problem and get kids early was, I was in. Yeah, can you repeat that? Oh my gosh, that would take forever. There's a lot. There were so many pieces. That's why, I didn't get into it. But you're talking about how it went from good to, or bad to good again? Yeah. Yeah, I think it's leadership. I think you need someone that you get to a point in a startup where everyone is really good at what they do. Kay is obviously a genius, and I really enjoy the marketing side of things. But to have someone full time to kind of bring everyone together, and that's their main agenda. I think that's really that's a really big piece that transitions you from good to great. Thanks.
Hey, how would you advise kind of young startups finding their Ks and finding their kind of your CEO, I forget her name, sorry.
Kelly.
Kelly, how would you find, right now, there's startups, I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs in this room. How do they find the Ks and the Kellys, and how do you kind of pop the question and make that transition from just admiring them to getting them on board to what you believe in?
Yeah, I remember someone told me if you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. And it was kind of like this with Kelly. She was my advisor, and it was, but at the same time, she was an advisor with like a catch. She was working for this big corporation that was actually scouting startups. So there was already a lot of give and take in that relationship where it was in her best interest to get to know me and vice versa. And I think a lot of it is like serendipitous planning, if that makes any sense. Like you have to, like I met Kelly because I was at a competition for ed tech startups, and she just so happened to be in the audience. And with Kay, I mean, that's a whole different, like I think that inspiring piece though, like if there's someone in your life that is, you think that you can give them wheels, like for my grandmother, I knew, like, and I think this goes to say for a lot of older people, you know, my grandmother's 76, she never would have dreamed that, like, she still doesn't even know what like startup means, like, but for her, it was to continue her legacy. And I think as young people, we really do need to tap into the wisdom of our seniors and to figure out, you know, you've spent your whole life becoming an expert here. I haven't. And trying to pair up that way.